I still remember my first day in college with my dad driving me, looking at me, saying, "I'm proud of you, son. This is going to be great. The economy is going to be booming. You're living in a blessed time. You're the first family member ever in our history to go to college." I remember looking at my dad and being like, "No, I don't want to do this. It's the whole world economic system is a Ponzi scheme. There most likely will be a financial collapse, and I won't even get Social Security because it's all based on a scam." My dad's like, "No." And now I'm going to show my dad this article that says Social Security won't be able to pay full benefits by 2035. Social Security trust funds will be tapped out by 2035, according to a new annual report released Monday by trustees of the government's two largest entitlement program, the other being Medicare. That's 1 year later than last year's reported projection. I'm reading the article here, of course. The quote, the new projected projection doesn't mean retirees will no longer get checks in 16 years, but the program will at that point only have enough revenue coming in to pay 3/4 of promised benefits through the end of 2093. And Jason, there's a lot to uncover here. There's a lot to talk about here, especially on the financial side. But politically, first of all, I don't see this going away anytime, with President Trump declaring that he will not cut any benefits to, of course, Social Security, and Democratic candidates, his opponents, pretty much saying, yeah, we're going to be expanding those programs for you. But in reality, they live in la la land, since there are economic numbers here that just simply don't add up and absolutely make no sense, especially when you look at how big of a Ponzi scheme this is. But Jason, why doesn't Social Security have enough money? Doesn't Social Security work on the basic premise where, hey, I'm giving money to the government to give back to me later, that I'm entrusting them because the government sees this as a responsibility to take care of me, and they could take care of my money better, and they'll help me make sure I have money in my old age because I'm not smart enough to save up money. That's literally the whole premise of Social Security. Why isn't there enough money if I'm giving money to the government, Jason?
I know you love the government, Luke. So this is a 2004 article from the Heritage Foundation that really does a great job on explaining how Social Security actually works, and it gives you real numbers. Now, before we get to the real numbers, I'm going to describe what is going on and still going on to this day. So when you pay your money in and it goes to the Treasury Department, it goes to the Social Security Fund, okay? It's a trust fund. So let's say, and this is hypothetical because we're going to show you some real numbers, $50 million is paid in for that month. Then $30 million in benefits is supposed to be paid out. Hypothetically, that $20 million is then put into Treasury bonds, which is basically just an IOU from the government that is supposed to accrue interest, okay? And then that goes into the fund for later generations. So yes, in a way, this generation pays for that generation, interest accrues, and that's how it's supposed to work. Now,
Where's the money from the first generation? What did those thieves do?
again, Luke, you're asking questions that I have no way of giving you answers. But what I can answer is this. Remember, this is a 2004 article. We're going to get to 2011 where there were allegations that maybe they were saying bank transfers were happening when they weren't. So really, this is just a ledger sheet. No money actually changes hands other than the money that comes from people and businesses into the Treasury Department, and not really the Social Security Fund, because what goes in the Social Security Fund? Treasury bonds. So at the end of 2002, the Social Security Trust Fund had a balance of $1.22 trillion. Follow? During 2003, the Treasury received $544 billion in Social Security taxes, people paying in with cash. They paid out $406 billion in cash. Now remember, all they're doing is giving a check, all that money staying in. Therefore, the trust fund had $138 billion left. What do they make that into? Special issue treasury bonds. Now, when you fast forward to this in 2011, Luke, they start alleging that basically there's not enough money coming in. There's less money coming in than there is going out, and that some of these transactions are never taking place. Again, the system is a corrupt Ponzi scheme. We all know it. A treasury bond is only worth what you'll let it be worth, and how well the government is doing, and how many zeros and ones they want to allow it. It's like a miniature version of the IMF with their SDR units. Remember, the IMF issues money in the form of special drawing rights, which are nothing more than zeros and ones on a computer that go into bank accounts and then are exchanged for whatever currency they are loaning out to the country. So in other words, if they want to get dollars, they can get dollars. They want to get euros, they can get euros. It's zeros and ones. That's how the IMF works.
This is why there's anarchists, Jason. and of course, the bigger perspective here, again, if the world's a Ponzi scheme, why do you want more Ponzi schemers part of it? Again, and that's a whole different discussion. But again, this problem is not just an American problem. It's a problem that is happening all over the world, with Forbes even mentioning here, the pension storm is coming to Europe. It may be the end of Europe as we know it. Of course, that's a very hyperbolic kind of title there. But when you really do look at the raw data, the raw kind of numbers, it just screams pyramid scheme, Ponzi scheme. Get out. Forbes even released another article by Jeff McCone that was shockingly surprising to see actually published. That was titled "The World Economy is a Pyramid Scheme." Stephen Chu says. Stephen Chu is, of course, U.S. Secretary of Energy, the 1997 Nobel Peace Prize winner in physics. And to me, when you really look at the situation, yeah, they are absolutely right. Now, what I find really interesting is that this problem is definitely not going away. America has its own Social Security problem. Europe has its own pension problem. But I remember a few years ago, there was massive protests and civil unrest in Europe when Europe was about to adopt a similar system that would take our money and use it just like the Americans do. Huge civil unrest that made sure that that law did not get passed. Again, Europe, it all depends on which country you're in. But pensions and your retirement, that's something that, of course, many people see as essential to their livelihoods. And again, just here's a basic reminder, don't trust anyone, especially politicians who are kicking the can down the road, which is exactly what Trump is doing and exactly what the Democrats are doing. Because right now we have to face a harsh reality that no one wants to face. That's why they're saying, no, we're not going to cut any of these, which we, realistically would need to, because how else could you afford it? No. Democrats are even going to add more. They're going to give you more Social Security. They're going to give you more Medicare for all. And it's like, hey, those numbers don't add up. And we see that in New York City. I did a video specifically about the larger economic numbers and the larger kind of out migration that's happening in New York City. Why? Because they can't balance their books, and now they're literally going after everyone they can to tax, regulate, and control to try to extort as much money as they can so they could keep their state afloat. But the state is bankrupt. The United States is bankrupt. We're talking about 21 trillion in debt. Everything's a big Ponzi scheme, but we're not in on it. Everyone else, if you're watching this video, you're not in some high mansion and you don't have a groom of the stool, you're most likely not a part of the upper echelons of this Ponzi scheme, which people need to be made aware of. You can't trust the government. You always have to have your own retirement. I always strongly recommend diversifying as much as you can. Always take the money that you save up and diversify, whether it's metals, cryptocurrencies, stocks, penny stocks. Diversifying as much as you can is, I think, crucial with what money you have saved up. I always recommend 15% of your revenue to go to some kind of alternative, especially to the US dollar, with the way the system is and how unpredictable it is. Alternatives are definitely the key. That's my take on it. Jason, anything else you have to say? And do you want to end it here?
Yeah, I do want to let everybody know you don't have a choice. I mean, we all pay into this. That's the whole system. You are not given a choice. It comes directly out of your paycheck. And I think it's insane that, we would try to be deprived of that. I'm not saying that you should rely on it, but when you're paying the money into it, and many people don't even collect it because they don't get into the age that they can, and quite frankly, it's not enough to survive, I really think it is, bar none, our money. It's not to be...
Yeah, that's why it's coercion and theft, and we need an anarchistic society. Go ahead, Jason.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, I just don't believe in fairy tales, unicorns, and pots of gold at the end of the rainbow. Everything has to be earned and deserved, and we need a structure. But anyway, we're doing 4 videos a day. We put a couple up over at the We Are Change page. We put a couple up over at the Pulse Change page. Maybe you want to give us a subscribe. I don't know, help us out. Pretty please with sugar on top. We'd appreciate it. Ring that bell. Make sure you ring the bell. And if you want, you can get every notification, but YouTube also says, hey, just occasional notifications for the We Are Change and the Pulse Change channel. Putting that out there. Share it on social media. And most importantly, guys, get out there and be the change you want to see in the world. Luke?
Hey, just because you have a middleman government gangster taking a cut and being in the middle of transactions doesn't mean you earned it. Okay, sorry, that's it. Have a good day. Love you guys.